We've already installed Drupal on our local computer. Now we're going to install it on a remote computer so that people can actually go to our website. I should warn you ahead of time, this is a fairly complex procedure, and I'm going to show it to you in this video using an SSH program which reaches directly into Unix and its command line interface. I've found the command line interface to be the fastest and most reliable way of doing this. However, some hosts don't allow you to do that. If not, see my other video about installing on a remote computer using an FTP program. The first thing that you have to do is set up a place where you'll be putting Drupal. I've already done that on the host at webenabled.net. And the URL I'll be going to is 2trs.dev3.webenabled.net. In order to get there, I'm going to use an SSH program. On the Mac, the program you'll use is called Terminal, and it's already included with Mac OS X. On Windows, you have to download another program. The one I'm using is called Putty, which you can find most easily by searching the internet for Putty, P-U-T-T-Y, or going directly to the URL that you see here. I've already set up Putty and logged into my account. The way to see what's there is by typing ls. That shows all of the files that are in that directory that you just logged into. To get a longer form of it, type ls-al. That's short for show all files in a long form. I find that to be much more useful because it shows all of these dot files which are normally hidden. The one we're looking for is something like www, or in this case, public HTML. That's where the web pages are actually stored. To go there, I type cd, which stands for change directory, public HTML. Now here's a little trick that's true in most Unix servers. You only need to type in the first part of the name and then hit tab, and it fills out the rest of it. Then I hit enter and list it one more time. I see that actually my site is one more level down in that 2TRS, so I'll go down there. Now this is something that you'll have to learn from your web host. Every one of them is a little bit different, both in how you log in and in where your web files are going to go. If you have any problems, contact your web host support desk. But for me, I'll just go into 2trees right there and list to see what's there. I have no files at all. And in fact, if I go to that URL, which I'll do by going back here and clicking on the link, I see that I'm not allowed into that directory. We can prove, however, that that's the place that we want to put our files by editing a small file called index.html. I'm just going to put a little HTML file there just to test it. And I do that using a Unix program called Nano. I'll just say hello world and save it out. And now I'll reload this page. Yes, it worked. That means we're in the right place. I can delete that file now with RM, which stands for remove. And if we reload the page, we find once again, we're locked out. Good. The next step is to get Drupal and put it into that directory. To get the Drupal files, go to drupal.org/project/Drupal. Then scroll down to the download area. Now I'm making this video before the official version of 7 was released, so we're going to grab it from this yellow area. Once it is released, it'll show up in this green area. In any case, you want to get the most recent version. Go down to the download link, and if you're on a PC or a Mac with a 2-button mouse, you can right-click here and copy the link location. If you only have a 1-button mouse, hold down the Control key and you can do the same thing. Then we go back to our terminal program. We're going to get it using the Unix program wget, W-G-E-T, and then paste in the URL. In Putty, you do that simply by right-clicking and hit enter. You see a progress bar, and there it is. We can prove it by listing what's in that directory, ls once again. Now I have to uncompress that. To do that, I use a program called tar, T-A-R, and then you need the switches -XVZF, and then the file name. You can learn more about those switches by taking a look at Unix's documentation. We hit enter, and we see all the files come out. There it is. Now when we list, there are now two things there. There's the archive that we downloaded and the uncompressed version. I'll just get rid of the archive by typing rm drupal 7.0-rc1.tar, and then I can hit tab and enter. Done. The last thing that we need to do is to move that copy of Drupal up one level so it's in the root of our directory. If we don't do that, I'll show you what happens. When we go to our URL and reload the page, we still can't get into anything, or you might just see a list of all the files that are in that folder depending on how your host is set up. So we descend into the directory by typing cd Drupal. Once again, that's change directory. List what's there just to be sure. And then move with mv everything, that's with a star, dot dot. What that does is it moves everything in that folder up one level. There is a catch I'll show you in a second, but first I'll do that. Now if I list it again, it should all be gone. There's one thing we missed. The star doesn't get this dot file, .ht access, so we also have to move that as well. mv space .ht, again I hit tab to fill out the rest of the name, and dot dot. Now when I list what's in that directory, it's all empty. If I go up one level, now there are all of our files at the correct level. We still have this empty folder, Drupal-7.0, and we can get rid of that easily enough by saying rmdir, that's remove directory, space Drupal, and hit tab. Now we're ready. When we reload this page, we see that Drupal is prepared for its installation procedure. I know that whizzed by if you're unfamiliar with the command line interface of Unix and Linux. So here's a summary of the commands that I used. As I mentioned, SSH is usually the command that you use to get to the server, ls list files, cd changes the directory, wget downloads the files, tar extracts them, rm removes anything that you need to remove, except if it's a directory, in which case it's rmdir, pwd, which I didn't show, will tell you where exactly you are in the hierarchy. That's very useful if at any time you get lost. And mv will move a file from one place to another. In addition, there are several shortcuts. When you type asterisk, that means everything that's in your current location. So mv space asterisk means move everything. One dot refers to your current location. So sometimes you'll say copy everything to where I am now, in which case you'll just say copy these things space dot. Two dots gets you to a level above. Most often you use this with cd, so cd space dot dot means go up one level. And as I mentioned several times, when you start typing in file names, pressing tab completes them. Finally, I want to mention a few learning resources if you want to go further with Unix or Linux. First, you can find information about a specific command by typing either man, help, or info, and then the command itself. That varies from system to system, so if one of them doesn't work, try the others. And if you're not sure what the command should be, type apropos and then the concept. For example, apropos file or apropos permissions. Then here are two sites that'll help you if you just want to read up some more on Unix and Linux. Our next step is to set up the database that Drupal will use. You'll learn how to do that in the video about creating Drupal's MySQL database, and then we'll actually be ready to install Drupal on our remote server, which we'll do in the video running Drupal's installer.